New study out of Tufts indicates that the surge in voting in the last election was also quite prevalent in the younger voters. So they show that half of Americans aged 18 to 29 cast a ballot in the 2020 general election, one of the highest youth voting rates in recent history, and an 11-point increase from 2016, a cycle that felt like it had a lot of youth involvement. 2020 did eclipse it. Young people exceeded national increases in voter participation. So this isn't just like everybody was voting more. Everybody was voting more, but young people were voting more than the other people who were voting more, which is, I think, what we want to see, especially because historically, always younger people vote at basically the lowest rates. And because politics not only affects them, but arguably will affect them for far longer, the decisions that are made by any given administration, it is important that they're involved. And I don't know if this is a particular effect of Trump or the pandemic. We have some evidence that it might be legal changes, but it's good to see that they got involved. Hopefully that is, an omen, like some sort of sign that they will continue to stay involved.
Yes, it is good that young people are involved. It's not so bad, is it? It's not that hard, right? A couple things that are working against the ability for young, or the likelihood that young people will still exercise the franchise in future election cycles. One, politics isn't as front and center right now. People aren't paying as much attention to it. It is very tempting to what I said earlier. We solved that problem. We solved the Trump problem. I never have to worry about another thing again. That's not the case. The things that led to Trump, many of which are born out of restrictions to voting, are now being doubled down on.
Exactly.
In new voting initiatives that prevent people from being able to vote. So it was easier this time because everyone was like, you're home, you can send in a ballot, you can vote earlier and longer. Those options are not gonna be options next time around if these gerrymandered Republican legislatures have their way. Why do I say gerrymandered Republican legislatures? Look at Florida. Florida was a pretty close vote. If you look at the, in the general election, and has been technically a swing state as states go. But if you look at the representation in the legislature, it's like 87 to 17, Republican to Democrat. They draw those lines so that it's easy to pass those laws. The reason they've been able to do that is because they've increased their foothold, and they got a foothold in gerrymandering and increased their advantage over time. And then they're gonna keep doing that because no matter who's president, they still control the state legislatures, and the census goes down, and then they use that to draw state their districts on state lines or on party lines. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, like, you just need to make sure that you find ways to care still, right? I do like but I do also, the other part is just like, it wasn't so hard. It's gonna be a little harder, but it wasn't that bad. And it probably felt pretty good to go in there and say, I actually did cast my vote. And remind yourself that this last election was determined really by 30,000 people in like 3 states. That was the margin as our electoral breakdown goes. So, and that's gonna get harder next time around.
But it doesn't have to. Obviously, Republicans are trying and have already passed bills in a number of states. One we're gonna mention in just a second. But in theory, the Democrats could pass HR 1. We'll see if that actually happens. That would help to stop a lot of the strike back against voting rights. Like this is in a segment that we have of good news, but there are lots of people, Republicans, that see this and think that's the worst news possible. I hate that, and I will stop that in future elections.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.